Hello, this is Laura Susan Johnson, and for my 30th video, I'm going to do a voiceover only. That's announcement number one. It's hard for me to function when the weather is hot and muggy like this and thunderstormy. For my 30th movie review, I am proud to do Spider Lilies, directed by Zero Chio. And this is a Taiwanese LGBTQIA movie. And it is about two young Taiwanese women who have known each other for a long, long time, but have kind of lost touch. And their love is kind of, their childhood sort of love is reawakened when one of them walks into a tattoo parlor. And I'll get to it. First I want to sort of introduce the characters. There's Jade. Jade is a young, actually she might be an underage teenager. This is a 2007 movie, so it's been about 9 years since the movie was released. Jade is played by a Taiwanese singer, Rainy Yang, and she runs a website, or she's not running the website, she's one of the participants in a kind of a porn website, and she does like webcam stuff that's pretty racy. I don't know how she got into it, they don't go into that, but she was somehow kind of, you know, maybe the online predator got to her, I don't know. She's a beautiful young girl. I would say she's probably 16, 17 years old, tops maybe. And she has this place called Jade's World, or Jade's, I don't know, I think it's Jade's World. Welcome to Jade's World. And it's just a little spot on this big old, I think, teen porn webcam site that's illegal. And one night, I think her grandmother, I don't know how often her grandma does this, but her grandmother walks in on one of her sessions. Luckily, she's not stripped down naked or anything. She's just probably getting ready to. And her grandma just walks in and sits right in front of the camera or crouches down, and she had told her grandma to go to bed. And I don't know where her parents are, but you never really see them. I think they told you in the movie, but it's been at least a week and a half, 2 weeks since I've seen the movie. Let's just say they're gone, and I think that they abandoned her or something. They just left her with her grandma. And she's had abandonment issues for a long time. She's been very unhappy. She tries to hide it behind a very sweet smile and a very sweet demeanor. But when people mouth off to her on that website, because they do have chat things open so that people can chat with her and ask her questions, or just say, hey, take it off, baby, or something like that. And it's pretty, so they say some demeaning and disrespectful things to her. And she gets enraged and she'll pull the plug on it. And she gets reprimanded by the boss of the website now and then for it. And they threaten to pull her off the channel. And I think that she likes the revenue she gets from it, because it really makes her feel grown up and important, and it's child exploitation. The other lead female is Takeko, and she's played by Isabella Leong. And Takeko is a little older. The name seems Japanese. I don't know if she was raised in Japan and then they relocated to Taiwan or what. But anyway, Takeko, she's probably in her maybe, I would say mid-20s, if she's that much, because when Jade was a little girl, like a 4, 5, 6-year-old girl. Takeko seemed like a teenager on a bike. And she would always wait for Takeko, Jade would, with a little green wig on her head, and wait for Takeko to ride by on her bicycle on the side of the road, and she would hitch rides with her now and then. She just had a crush on her, and I think that's when, I mean, they never had a love affair, of course, at the age that Jade was at, but I think they had a little bit of a, sort of a bond or something, and that was, you know, forgotten about, but I don't think Jade ever forgot Takeko. Takeko went on to, you know, in her later teens, became a lesbian, and she had an affair with, she was a girlfriend of Takeko's, and Takeko went to meet her so that they could, you know, get together and hook up, and she left her little brother Ching, played by Chris Shin. He was about 4 or 5, or maybe 6, I don't know. He was a small child like Jade was at that time. And he said, "Don't leave me." And she was like, "Why not? I mean, I'm just going to go see my girlfriend and Dad's here." Well, apparently an earthquake happened while she was at her girlfriend's house, and the little boy was with their dad. And the earthquake caused the house to collapse, and the dad pushed the little boy out to save his life, and all that was hanging out of the remains of the house was the father's arm, and the father's arm had this elaborate and beautiful tattoo of a golden spider lily. They're also called hurricane lilies, surprise lilies, because they don't really grow wildly, but people don't realize that bulbs were planted when they move into a place, and they just seem to pop up in different seasons around the world. So anyway, it was a golden spider lily with little skulls. It's a very unique and beautiful tattoo. Never have I seen skin art so obsessed over in a film, or so uniquely integral to the plot, since The Pillow Book in 1997, I think. The Pillow Book had calligraphy. Spider Lilies has tattoos. And Takeko breaks up with this girlfriend because she feels so guilty that her little brother witnessed such trauma, her father's death. He was left with a corpse with just the arm hanging out of not a severed arm, but just the only thing that he could see of his father's body was that arm covered in that beautiful tattoo. And it's just sad. It was very sad. And Takeko feels so guilty. She breaks up with her girlfriend. She says, "I can't see you anymore. I can't deal with this." So, and her brother is so traumatized that I don't know if it's really autism or if it's just a selective memory loss or a severe case of post-traumatic stress disorder. He ends up having to be in a daycare while she's at work, and she works as a tattoo artist. She sketches beautiful tattoos. If people want a custom sketch, she makes them herself, and she's a very talented drawer or, sketch artist. And she's also talented, with the ink and the needles, She's a very talented and competent person with I think she got it from a sensei named Yoshi, played by Michio Hayashida. So you've got Jade, Takeko, and Ching. I don't remember which boy was the one who got tattoos to enhance his feeling of being tough. I don't know why, but he felt like getting these really macho tattoos and picking fights with people was cool. And the tattoos were fine. I had no problem with it, but he would just go around picking random fights with people, and that was kind of annoying. I just didn't care for it. Takeko ends up getting her late father's tattoo, a replica of it, tattooed to her left arm. And she gets it to remind both herself of her father and her brother of her father, because he has a selective memory loss, they say. Like, he just doesn't want to relive and process and grieve properly over that moment in his life, that horrible day in his life. It was the worst day of his life. You know, he lives through an earthquake. His father pushes him away from the danger zone, and then his father is crushed by the house. It's a tragic and traumatic event. But she has so much guilt, and he has so much trauma. And then Jade, the younger woman, has, or the teenage girl, maybe, she has just too much trauma in her life. She's unhappy, and she's so brave about trying to hide it behind a smile. Some people said she seemed like a giggly teenager or a child. Well, yeah, that's what she is. That's what she is. If she annoys you, try to look past what you're seeing and realize what she is. She is a child. She's been traumatized. Both of the lead actresses' characters have been traumatized. Back to Jade, because she shuts down so many perverts for saying creepy things to her, her boss calls her one morning and says, "You pulled the plug again. You have the lowest revenue this month, and if you don't stop that crap and make us some money over here, you know, if you don't stop that behavior, we're going to kick you off the website. We're going to fire you." She goes, "I'm going to go get a tattoo, a romantic love tattoo, and that'll boost my sales, and everything will work out." And the movie kind of explores why kids get tattoos today. People are getting tattoos at an increasing, a lot higher rate than they did maybe, 30, 40 years ago, I would say. I don't have any tattoos. I'm allergic to pain, but I like temp tattoos a lot. And I just would rather get temp tattoos because that way I can change them around with what I'm wearing. I like to coordinate what I'm wearing with lots of different little things, and it's just less painful. But anyway, kids getting real tattoos, 20-somethings getting real tattoos, it's really increased in the last few decades, and this movie kind of explains the different reasons why people are getting tattoos in Taiwan. One character's getting tattoos because he wants to feel tough and manly. One female character is planning to get a tattoo because she feels it'll help her perform better at work in her line of work, even though it's not a good line for her to be in at her age. And then the other one got a tattoo in remembrance of her father and to help her brother hopefully process this tragedy that he lived through and finally break through and be able to function again as a, I don't want to say normal human being because I have a sister who's autistic, but as a functional human being, just to be able to live his life and be happy and just say goodbye to his father and appreciate the miracle that his father saved his life. I don't know, something like that. So It's a beautiful film. I love it very much. The two female leads do have a romance. I think basically, I mean, you're left to interpret, you know, the after story on your own, but I do think things ended up just fine. The brother goes into a coma set off by some stimulus that triggered some, I mean, it basically caused trigger memories. Trigger something, stimuli, caused him to go into coma. And I think he ends up waking up from the coma at the end. And I think my interpretation is he broke through and he was able to function better at the end. I think he improved. But the guy who got the tattoos to be macho, he ended up with a sad ending, and I don't want to reveal that. And the two female leads, I'm sure that they worked things out, because her Jade's tattoo, it was of a lotus flower, which are also a gorgeous flower, and it wasn't finished when they had their argument, so Takeko called Jade and said, please meet with me, I want to finish your tattoo. You know, interpret it for yourself, what happens next. And I think things worked out okay for most characters, not all though. It's a great movie, I highly recommend it. It's LGBT genre, and it's really a great film. And it's very interesting, it's very visually beautiful, just like The Pillow Book. It's one of the closest films to The Pillow Book, and that's one of my all-time favorites, so